I added a bit on the end, which maybe you haven't seen. I said make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, you started freestyling and I was like, I'll just wait and jump in.
I wanted to say at one point that what our names were, just in case people forgot.
Okay, I have this recording now. Let me just get to the intro on my page and then we can go.
Perfect.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Louise.
And hi, I'm Emma.
And you're listening to Murder or Myth,
the true crime podcast where not everything is true.
The aim of the game is to find out whether the story is actually murder or if it's just a myth.
Now, let's get started.
Okay, in this week's episode, I'm going to be telling Emma a story about the death of a young Swedish actress. You can't look at me.
Oh, I can't look at it.
No.
Okay, start again, please. Thank you.
Really? In this week's episode... You're looking at me. In this week's episode, I'm going to be telling Emma the story about the death of a young Swedish actress, Kristina Svensson. Okay, so we'll start with her kind of background. She grew up in Sugtunda, which is a town to the north of the capital.
Okay.
In Sweden. And she grew up there with her mom and her two younger sisters. Okay. So her acting career kind of began as a child actress. She wasn't doing a lot. She did a couple of ads, like TV commercials and that, for a sweets company called Belair. And then a few other, like, very small roles in TVs, no lines or anything, TV shows, no lines, just appearing.
Was she a child actor at this point?
Yeah, she's a child at this point.
Yeah,
so her mom put her into acting. So in 1992, at the age of 14, she was hired for her first kind of big role to play the teen daughter Astrid in a new Swedish sitcom called The Bergstrom Family. And she worked in that show for 4.5 years.
Did you ever watch it?
I've never seen it, no. I hadn't heard about this case before I looked into it.
So she worked there for how many years?
4.5 years. But it's a famous kind of like Swedish sitcom.
Okay.
So after the show ended, she announced she was moving away from the acting industry and moving out of Sweden. So she went to Denmark and she started studying a bachelor's degree in religion and theology in the University of Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. So Denmark, religion.
Yeah. Religion, yeah. So Kristina at this point reportedly cut tie. So Kristina reportedly had cut... Sorry. It's a hard word to pronounce. Kristina reportedly had cut ties with her mother.
Okay. Taking a breath?
No. Kristina reportedly had cut ties with her mother while in Denmark, while she was studying.
Yeah, that's kind of, I suppose, understandable because she was put into child acting. And I can't imagine it was the best relationship.
Well, it wasn't really known at the time in Sweden. It was known that she'd kind of cut ties with her.
Okay.
But it wasn't known why. So recently, in the last couple of years, one of her sisters has been very vocal about the unhealthy working environment on the Bergstrom Family show and how Kristina had blamed her mother for forcing her to continue working despite the abusive behaviour she was receiving from the producers and the pressure they put on her appearance as a teen girl.
Yeah. She was 14 when she started,
She's 14 when
4
she
years
started,
later, 18
so, yeah, she kind of was only able to finish up when her contract ended.
Yeah.
So that's when the show ended as well. So her sister reports she heavily dieted for the show, and when the show was running, it had been noted by fans that Kristina was extremely underweight in the later seasons. So at this point, Kristina's gone abroad, she's in Copenhagen, and she meets Jan Berg, a Danish man, and the two begin to date. So at this point, Kristina was only 23 while in university, and Jan was 40. So she's towards the end of her university now, and Kristina's friends from university have later stated that Kristina became very distant with them after they'd vocalised their dislike towards Jan. Mm-hmm. They believed that he was with her for the wrong reasons, her fame. She obviously had a lot of money after her show, and when they would be together, that he was very kind of possessive over her and didn't really like his behaviour.
Yeah, I'd imagine as well that she's becoming distant. He's probably controlling her more and trying to keep her away from people that she would know, and
just didn't seem like a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then it was reportedly due to Jan's encouragement that Kristina returned to acting and auditions after graduating. And at this point, she landed the role that brought her most fame, which was a movie called The Third Eye, and it's a popular fantasy historical Swedish film. Okay, so Kristina moved back to Sweden to begin filming, and she moved to Stockholm this time, and bought an apartment in the city where her and Jan lived. Now, what was kind of unusual about this, obviously he's much older, he's also working, But the apartment was bought only in her name. So she bought it, but they were both living there.
Okay.
So they didn't buy it together. The movie was then released in 2004, and it was directed by Alf Hallström.
Good details.
So she became quite popular during this movie release.
Okay.
Now, some rumours started happening while she was filming that Christina had been romantically involved with her co-star Peter Skarsgård. They were engaged in the actual plot of the movie, and an inside source, which was supposedly a member of the film crew, had said they were spending a lot of alone time together and suspected Peter was having an affair on his wife.
Okay.
So at the point of the movie release, Peter had been married for 3 years and they had one child together.
Okay, so everyone's like...
it was never...
Sort of rumours.
The two of them never kind of spoke on it.
Yes.
But Peter and his wife have since separated. They separated in 2010.
Okay.
So... potential that could have been a cause. Who knows?
That seems to be the case with a lot of kind of movie scenes, like movies and
Hollywood and stuff like that.
Everything you have surrounding that. Yeah, it's just like a
fame,
high pressure situations.
Yeah,
like
let's hope that doesn't happen to us.
No,
when we become super famous from this, we'll keep we have each other, so I think we'll keep our heads
stay
on.
anchored. You know.
So continuing on with the story.
Okay.
So Christina retreated from the public eye for the most part after this movie. She only kind of came out for the odd interview, attending premieres, that kind of thing. She didn't continue acting. On February 9th, 2007, Jan called the emergency services at 4:17 a.m, saying he'd come home to find Christina in bed, not breathing. Okay. So the ambulance rushed to the scene to see what was happening, but at 4:42 a.m, Christina was pronounced dead in her home at 29 years of age.
So she's... Okay, so that was not a long time that she was pronounced dead after the phone call went in.
No.
Okay, and... Did you say that...
It was about 25 minutes after he called.
Yeah, and did you say that at 4:17 a.m. he came back to the house?
That's the time he called the emergency services.
So,
quoting that he said, "I've come home to find Christina in bed, not breathing."
Okay, so I think that's suspicious. Not in the case of more so murder or myth, but still, like, if it is a murder... That's suspicious because it's so late in the night.
It's very late in the night. So, we'll continue to see what happened that night.
Let's find out.
So, the couple had been out with Jan's friends earlier in the night, and Christina had left early around midnight, saying she didn't feel well, but Jan had stayed out. So, when talking to the police, friends reported they both had consumed a significant amount of alcohol and drugs that night, which was, quote, not unusual behaviour for the couple. Now, in their testament to the police, one staff member of the bar that they were at reported the couple had gotten into a heated argument during the night, and Jan had been reacting aggressively towards Christina, and he had also reported to have seen multiple bruises on her left arm while he was serving her. Okay?
Yeah.
Jan's friends continued on to a nightclub after the bar, and in Jan's testimony, he went straight home after departing from his friends. However, one witness reports he left the bar 2 hours before the police were called. Jan also stated in his first testimony that he came home to find the door unlocked and slightly ajar, so straight after when he was talking to the police, and that he'd cleaned up a broken beer bottle with blood on it in the hall prior to going into their bedroom.
Okay, yeah, okay. So you wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't
That's
do that.
That's not your first thought when
you're gonna run in.
Come home and see a broken bottle with
However, when re-questioned later, he denied both of these statements, saying he was in no condition that night. He was highly intoxicated to have remembered if these details were actually true or not.
Okay.
So he's denying these.
Another suspicious detail. Never change your story.
Jan was the prime suspect for Christina's death and was arrested. However, he was released later due to her death being ruled as a drug overdose and not enough evidence standing against him to go to court. The toxicology report found that cocaine and metabolites contributed to Christina's passing. Other substances found in her body included marijuana, alcohol, and Xanax, which is like an anti-anxiety medication.
A relaxation.
Those did not contribute to her death. It was the cocaine and metabolites.
Yeah.
And that was as far as the death went. They didn't like look into it any further. That was the toxicology report. Case. It's a what?
Cold case?
Cold case.
So nothing came of it.
Nothing came of it.
So that was a very good story. I'm leaning towards murder. It's a very well written myth.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
No, I have to think about this a tiny bit more. The ending was very abrupt, but apart from that...
The ending was abrupt, but they really didn't look into it further.
Okay.
Because of the toxicology report.
Yeah, so even if this is murder or myth, I'm gonna confirm. I think Jan done it for sure.
I 100% think Jan is guilty.
Do I know?
Especially since he didn't have fame,
myth?
and then he came into it.
Yeah, and maybe would now see.
He didn't seem like a good character from the start.
If it was a murder, would he not take an insurance out on her? If he was going to kill her, did he get any gain from it? Type thing.
Well, because he was living in the house then came under his name.
So he did get gain from it.
Yeah, he did get gain from it.
For sure, he killed her. But now, did you write the story or is it a murder? I think. Okay, I'm gonna say murder because of how well it was, done. And if it's a myth, congrats, it was very good.
Thank you. It was
final.
A myth.
Okay.
Slay.
Slay. A very good myth with all the kind of details and side characters, etc. that would be in a murder story. But yeah, there's I think there's so many murders like that you can base stuff off of.
There is a lot, yeah. It is.
It's kind of like a trope almost in the murder
in the murder industry. Yeah. I was a bit afraid at the end. I said something and I was like, that's where the story ends.
Yeah, you're like, that's where the death stopped. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, the police did not kind of further look into
Very
it.
good. That was a really good story, and thank you.
Thank you.
Genuinely thought that was a murder.
So this has been Murder or Myth
with your hosts Emma and Louise.
In this episode, I stumped Emma, and she believed that my myth was in fact a murder. So
thank you for listening.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Join us next week for another thrilling adventure.
And find us on all streaming platforms.
Remember, it's myth until proven murder.
Schley. We would like to shout out to AJ.
Thank you so much for letting us use your sound equipment.
Murder or Myth would not be possible without you.
Yeah, thank you. Slay.
Slay.